before. I don't remember if he got killed or not, but he had a young kid at home, and I think he had just been at this point where he like had too much, and he got back in the fight a few days later. But he ends up standing up on the rooftop, and he's like screaming like, "Where are you? Come on, what do you want? What do you like? You come get me!" And I was like losing it, and my radio operator is down on his like taking a knee, and he's trying to get up calm with the artillery unit, because we were going to work up a firing solution on mortars and then call in artillery on the same one once we knew that the grid was right. And my radio operator, who like stands up, grabs him by the scruff of the collar, and throws him off the building. This is a 1-story, like 1.5-story building. He freaking grabs him by the collar, throws him off the building. The dude was fine. He ends up like going around. He like sat in the track and basically needed to have a timeout while the rest of the fight was going on. So here comes these, RPGs are still flying overhead. They set up another sniping position down, like, maybe 15 feet down the rooftop from us. And I'm standing up there, and we finally get the call for fire in for mortars. Mortars launches some rounds, and our firing solution is dead on. In fact, I don't know if it was one of the mortars that hit it or one of the Arty like cracked this minaret. It was sweet. It might have been the Arty that did it. It had to be. But kind of quieted that down. But I was looking down the roof, and this is here's a street going across like this, T street, another block, enemy, and I'm looking like right down the rooftop, and all the infantry guys were wanting to move forward, but they were told to hold while we were getting our call for fire in. And as the mortars are impacting, I look down, and there's this the platoon sergeant for the infantry platoon was looking up at me, and he's like, "You mother," like chewing, because he thought that we were making a mistake about where we dropped where we dropped those mortars, or had them impact. And I was like, "No, it's good to go, Staff Sergeant. That's where it's supposed to be." And then the call went out that we actually got my radio operator got the call for fire in to Arty. And so when the mortars had hit, we were like, "Oh shit, this is gonna get ugly." And as we're waiting for artillery to shoot, all of a sudden, like we're kind of like propped up, like watching to see what happens, but we're also like, "Oh," because this can get ugly. And we're calling in 150, 200 meters, and the Arty is firing from like probably 8 miles away, maybe 5 miles away. I mean, there's no margin for error. And so we're kind of leaning up, and then all of a sudden, boom, like something hits the building. And all I feel, the whole building rocks, and those of us that were kind of up or maybe on a knee all got like knocked over. And I felt this hot wave come over the top, like hot air come over the top of the building, and I was like, "Oh, that's not good." I kind of had a feeling what happened, but wasn't quite sure. And so next thing we hear shot over, which is them. That's the cannons are firing the rounds, and then I hear my RO shot out, and then they give the splash call, because when it's danger close, which is anything that within 600 meters, danger close, splash, then it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. And that's supposed to be hitting the deck. So when you hear splash, if you're calling danger close, that is your time to do this. You get real low to the ground and pretend like, and like blow all the air out of your lungs and hope that you did something right, and so did they on the other end. And if mortars, as we're looking at it, like, this is such a long video, but whatever. So mortars are like, they hit, and it's just like wow, that's freaking amazing, that messed him up. And then all of a sudden, here comes the Arty, and we had done this rectangular sheet, like linear sheaf or whatever. It was this huge, and it was just like, boom, boom, boom. Like if we were dialed in like this, then suddenly we were like, "Oh God, here comes this." It was insane. So that pretty much, after that came down, that Staff Sergeant wasn't happy with me, but we were like, "It's okay, it's fine." And then I remember I was like sitting up on top of the, like after this firefight kind of winded down, I was sitting on top of the roof. We were taking a minute, and all of a sudden this guy comes up to me, and he like I was like knocking on my helmet. I'm like sitting down, like knocking on my helmet. I still can't hear anything, and I look up, and I'm kind of like disoriented, and he's like, "Hey, Devil Dog," and I'm like, I realize it's the sergeant major, like most senior enlisted guy, and he's got this video camera in his hand. He's like, "Hey, you know how to get this thing to work?" And I was just like, "Are you kidding me right now?" It was so surreal. So we end up like packing up, climbing back down the ladder, and went to the back of the building, loaded up in the track, like kind of came around. I don't know how long this firefight could have been. 20 minutes. It could have been 5 hours. I really couldn't tell you. And as we're coming around the front of the building, I get a chance to look over and look up, and an RPG had impacted. Like if there's a 1 foot wall, and then maybe 1 or 2 feet down from that, the RPG had hit right there, like right below where we were at, but hit the kind of mud hutted, building, blew out that building, but we were, perfectly fine. Didn't get hit, didn't get any shrapnel or anything like that. And then we ended up pushing forward back up to the river and into Baghdad. Plenty of more stories about that, which I'm not going to get into because this one's the longest video yet. Probably my last war story I'll tell, first and last. But what's really crazy then is almost 1 year to the day, that following year when I came back, we convoyed up on my second deployment from from Kuwait to Baghdad and then over to Ramadi. And as we passed through the same area, I look and that area had been patched up, and you could tell that same building and that had been patched up where the RPG had hit that year before. So it was kind of funny to sit there and kind of be like, "Hey guys, I got a story to tell you about this thing." So anyway, that's my story. As you can see, I get a little juiced just thinking about it and talking about it. But thanks for listening, for those of you who did. And let's not forget about the flaming arrows that in that passage extinguished the flaming arrows. And that battle became known as RPG Alley. So got to give it up to the man for giving me the strength I need to get through that.